Welcome to the Health Revolution, a show for people who want straight answers about their health, their body, and their life. Here we cut through trends, through myths, and recycled advice to break down what actually works and why. We explore physical strength, resilience, and mindset through real science, real experience, and real conversations. You'll hear from guests who faced challenge, adapted, and moved forward with intention. No hype, no shortcuts, just clarity you can use. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands real life. This is the Health Revolution. We begin now. That you're joining us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. No matter which way you're tuning into us, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your screen, there is a tab for show episode notes. Be mindful of that information. We've got some important info for you to grab that are relevant for our talk today. And as we are welcoming new viewers to our show, we also want to recognize returning viewers. We are so glad that you are here today. Our show is all about elevating the physical strength of the human body, emotional resilience, and mental mastery. Without those three factors, we cannot lead an optimal life, and that's what we're all about. And today we get a chance to talk about something that does affect many Americans, even others worldwide. We're talking about life after cancer. What does it mean by designing your life to do so? When you have that diagnosis and it throws you off your game, how do you embrace for your comeback? What do you need to do? What's going to keep you in the game? Our guest today is someone who I am thrilled to be talking to today. She is someone who has gone through quite the incredible journey, and we are here for all the learning. First, take a look at this. Meet Zoraida Morales, a woman whose life was rewritten by cancer. At 45, she was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia. 13 years of chemotherapy followed, along with loss, upheaval, and the unraveling of generational trauma. What could have broken her instead became the moment she chose to live differently. Now, 4 years in remission, Zoraida leads the movement Life by Design, Not Default, helping survivors and caregivers reclaim their strength, their voice, and their future through mental, physical, and spiritual healing. And today we will learn how she turned survival into purpose and pain into legacy. Zoraida Morales, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, I just want to say congratulations on your remission. You are truly a warrior, as with so many people who have overcome a diagnosis of cancer. Take us back to what life was like before and how everything changed.
Wow, I was living my best life. I was working in investment banking. I was married. I had 2 small children. I lived in the suburbs. I lived in a house built just for me. And then my life crashed. And I got this diagnosis at 45 years old of chronic myeloid leukemia. And everything changed. And I learned so many gifts along the way. And I know this may sound really uncomfortable for people who are just getting that diagnosis, but the diagnosis for me was a gift. It taught me so much about how I can be this better version of myself. And for that, I'm so grateful, because now I get to move from a project manager to a cancer coach. I love it. I love being a coach. I love helping, people move from surviving to thriving.
What can you tell our viewers, what is chronic myeloid leukemia? What is that?
So chronic myeloid leukemia is a blood cancer. And so in essence, chromosome 9 and chromosome 22 split and translocated. And that caused a mutation in my blood marrow. So my cancer is in my marrow. And that means that at this time, I have no evidence of disease. but the disease is still in my body. Does that make sense?
What
Um,
led to that? Was this caught early on, or was this an accidental discovery?
it was accidental. I had just had reconstructive surgery on my foot, so I was immobile for 3 months, and I figured, well, let me go for the annual physical while before I go back to work. So I go to the doctor, and I don't know about you, but my doctor and I, we talk about our kids, right? Because it's a routine physical. And I had this blood work. And the next day he calls me and he says, "Are you okay? Like, your body seems to have an infection. How are you feeling?" And I'm like, "I'm tired. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. I'm in a boot. I work 10, 12-hour days. So of course I'm tired." And he said, "I want you to come back the next day and have some blood work again." And the blood work triples. And then he asked me to come back the next day, and it's tripling. And then he says to me, "Okay, Z, I need you to go see an oncologist. I need you to get a special blood work because something's not right." Now, here's the kicker. You cannot see an oncologist until you get a diagnosis, but you can't get a diagnosis until you see an oncologist. It's like the chicken egg syndrome. So I went to my local hematologist, told her my sobby story, and she got me in 2 days. And I met with a hematologist who gave me my diagnosis.
Take us back to that moment where you were processing. How did you get through, and what was it like to navigate through those emotions?
You get a diagnosis from a doctor that you don't know because who has an oncologist or a hematologist in their contacts, right? So I go and I get this blood work, and then she stoically just looks at me and she says, "You have chronic myeloid leukemia. I expect to see you on Monday for a bone marrow biopsy." I look at her, I was angry, and I said, "I think you have the wrong patient. Look at your chart again." And she doesn't blink, and she just repeats it exactly in the same monotone way. And in that moment, I knew, I knew that it was right, that she had the right patient. And I knew that my life was never going to be the same. It was heartbreaking for me to hear those words.
And I know it's still quite emotional because it's such a raw journey. I can only imagine. I've not had that type of diagnosis before. What was it like for you to be on the path where you then became resilient? We can look at the line of work that we find ourselves in, and we
Mhm.
can be tough in certain areas, but cancer plays a different role where you've got to show up you've got to lean forward and put one foot in front of the other. What was it like for you, and what helped you navigate that path?
You know, I remember because when you get a diagnosis, you are operating with your traumas, your limiting beliefs. There's no other way. So I remember calling my husband, and it's raining, and the rain is pelting on my car. And I'm telling him of my diagnosis, and we're crying as I'm driving home. Now, I was scheduled to go back to college in a week. I paid thousands of dollars out of my own money to go back to college. And because, again, I'm operating from that old mindset, I told my husband, I'm still going to go to college. F that. Because I was a finance manager, right? And so now I'm just asking the question, what do I have to do? Because I think in my mind, I just have to do everything I'm supposed to do and everything's going to turn out okay. What I didn't understand is that having cancer or any diagnosis requires a mindset shift, right? And in order to do that, you've got to listen to your heart. It's not a mind and ego thing, it's a heart thing. But I was still operating with the mind and the ego. I was still in fight or flight. And then years later, I realized that I've been on fight or flight my entire life. It was just now really coming to the surface with this diagnosis. This is why I say it's a gift, because once I understood that, I knew that I could change things. Couldn't
Did you
change the diagnosis, but I could change me.
did you feel like there were times in your journey where you, how do I say this? Do you feel like at times there were some surprising points along your journey that took you by surprise?
Oh yeah, there were so many. You know, first the way the doctor said the news. I mean, where was the compassion? Where was the empathy? I'm not the only one who's gone through that. Secondly, people start disappearing from your life because they can't handle it. They don't know what to say. So I like the way one of my sisters said. I have three siblings, and one of my sisters said to me, "I don't know what to say. My heart is broken for you. I love you. What can I do for you?" That was the most beautiful thing ever anyone had said to me, because everyone else was crying and I was comforting them. Or they would just stay away. I had one sibling who didn't call me for weeks because she didn't know what to say. I remember telling my mother about the diagnosis, because here's the thing, I got diagnosed right before Thanksgiving. And we just celebrated Thanksgiving. So it was just my 17-year anniversary. And I didn't want to tell my family because I was still wrapping myself around it. My husband and I were wrapping ourselves around it. So like most people, we said, we don't want to ruin anyone's holiday. We don't know what to say ourselves. We don't really understand what's going on. We're not going to say anything till after the holiday. So when I told my mother after the holiday, she got pissed at me. And she told me a few words. And she said, "Now you tell me?" And I was like, I needed to wrap myself around it first. I said, "But you see that I am supporting you. I knew I would have to do that." And that's the thing. As a survivor, you're supporting other people.
How long was it from the diagnosis to when you were declared in remission?
I took chemo for 13 years. 13 long years. So technically, I was in remission in a year, because while taking the chemo for the first year, I still had cancer. It took a year before my doctor said, "Okay, your your numbers are showing that you don't have cancer anymore." Now, let me just say something about what that means, because when I go to the doctor, it doesn't say I don't have cancer. It says there's no evidence of disease. And what that means is that I have 5%, less than 5% of cancer in my body. That's what it means. And so the doctor said, there is no evidence that you will stay in remission if I take you off the chemo. So for right now, due to technology, you're going to stay on chemo for the rest of your life. And I was like, what?
Wow.
But after 13 years, I am celebrating 4 years in remission with no chemo,
That's
with no
fantastic.
evidence of disease.
I cannot even begin to conceptualize 13 years of chemo. That, I mean, just the enormity of what that would be like. How
Yeah.
did your life change during those 13 years?
Oh my God. Well, here's the thing. It changes a lot, but then I wouldn't let it. Like, I would exercise every day as much as I could, right? Because I was trying to keep my old life, but it wasn't working. And I needed to change. I needed to make those changes. So I started eating clean. I started removing those processed foods from my diet. I started exercising even more. I started using mental modalities to help me manage that fear, manage the stress, manage the anger, manage the anxiety. And then I had to believe in something higher than myself because I couldn't get through it because that diagnosis was staring at me and I didn't know who else to turn to. So it took me a really long time to wrap myself around it. I didn't have a coach. It wasn't until 2021 that I reached out and I said, God, please love me. Take care of me. I'm scared. That everything changed. Everything, Adriana, everything changed. He hugged me. I felt it. I knew I was going to be okay. And that's when I started to go from surviving to thriving. It was at that moment, because remember, I still had the same mindset. What do I have to do? Yeah. So for me, that spiritual component was everything for me. It changed my whole life. Now, I'm talking about a kid from the South Bronx of New York City who didn't grow up with religion. So for me to go to God and ask him to love me, that was huge for me. That was me at my lowest going, I need you. I need something higher than myself because I grew up thinking I could control everything and that I could do everything, but I couldn't control this. And all I needed was love, and to find joy in my heart here. And once I started to do that, regardless of the diagnosis, I started thriving. Everything started to shift. I am still amazed at my life. And I don't have the same life I used to. I don't live in the same neighborhood. I don't have the 2,500 square foot house. I don't have the title, the job, the money, the retirement fund. And I am happier than I've ever been in my life because I found joy here with or without the diagnosis. I found devotion to self. And this is what I teach people. Devotion to self. That means I'm not going to sit in that dirty diaper for a long time. That means that I know God's got my back. I need to learn how to do things differently and give myself permission. And I had to give myself permission to pause.
How did your level of support change? Who was all around you, and how did that adapt or change as time was going by, as you were stepping into who you are today?
I was a finance manager. I worked 10, 12-hour days. I didn't even know my neighbors because I was always working and I had small children. But then I get this diagnosis. Now I'm home and I'm recovering and I'm meeting my neighbors. And if it wasn't for my neighbors, if it wasn't for my community who called and said, we're going to take your kids out to play with my kids, and that way you'll have some time for yourself. We're going to take your kids to basketball practice. Go do your thing, spend some time with your husband. I don't know what would have happened to me. They rallied around me.
Well, I do definitely believe in knowing your neighbors. We know ours, and it's been incredible to have an immediate community around you. And there's more that we're going to cover. First, we're going to take a commercial break. Stay right there.
What if I told you that your life isn't over, that cancer isn't the end of your story, and that you can live a life reimagined? You see, I'm a cancer thriver now, but I wasn't always a cancer thriver. In 2008, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia at a time in my life where I had everything going for me. I was an investment banking manager working for the top 5 company. I had 2 children. I had a house built just for me. I had a family.
Stress and anxiety is something that we deal with quite a bit. When I decided to start Biomed Mobile IV, a very good personal friend of mine got me onto something called Calm, which has thiamine, taurine, and GABA. I can take someone who is so amped up on anxiety, and I can drop them all the way down to where you can just see it in their face. They're reset. And I combine that a lot with the NAD. It helps our body fight the stress better, which reduces the oxidized stress in our body to where we're not as amped up about the stress. Whatever may be causing the stress, whether it's our kids, whether it's work, whether it's been raining outside for the last 24 hours, whatever the case may be, it helps reset ourselves.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
And one day, like we all do, we go to the doctor and we go for that medical annual physical. And you think you're just going to have a conversation with your doctor about your children while you're having blood work done. But for me, a week later, I was told that I had chronic myeloid leukemia. Now here I am, 45 years old, 45. I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. This was not supposed to happen, but it did. So I called my husband, and we cried that night because we knew that the life that we had before had ended. But how do you rebuild from that? It was really difficult to look at it because you're full of fear. You're full of anxiety. And so I do what everyone does when they get a cancer diagnosis. I listen to my doctor. And my doctor says, you're having a bone marrow biopsy on Monday. And this is your medical treatment. And this is your life now. And you know what? As a person who's a type A person, I just kept asking, what do I have to do? Because I thought that all I needed was more determination. And so I kept asking, what do I have to do? And I did it. I took the chemo. But then the people around me, they weren't comfortable with this new me. And so they wanted me to continue making the money I was making and having the lifestyle that I was doing. And I didn't understand that having a cancer diagnosis means you need to make that mindset shift. You need to start devoting to self, even though the people around me didn't want it. They were afraid. You see, people like getting what they normally get. And so I kept grinding because it's what I did. I mean, I'm a kid from the South Bronx of New York City. That's how I got there. That's how I got to finance, right? I grind and I grind.
So you went through, your marriage did not last. And I remember my first marriage ending in divorce and just going through the process of, I mean, it's hard. What helped you get through that on top of dealing with chemo and all of the things? What helped you persevere?
Devotion to self. So devotion to self means I'm not sitting in a dirty diaper. So that means that if I'm sad because he's not signing the papers, and now I'm paying a lot of money for it, to have this lawyer get me out of this divorce, I allow myself to feel it. But then I ask my heart, what do you need? So are we going to love ourselves enough to get out of that state? Because we couldn't control him signing the papers, but I could control how I felt. And so I said, well, I don't want to feel sad and angry for 30 minutes 60 minutes, 3 hours, a day, a week. Well, what am I going to do about it? I started going into my, tapping into my inner child. I'm like, I went back to that 6-year-old child. What do you need to be happy right now? Sometimes I just needed yoga. Sometimes I just needed to go out in nature and take a walk. Sometimes I just need to do a crossword puzzle, right? Everyone has to find what works for them. What brings you joy? I was that weird kid that at 6 years old, a crossword puzzle and playing baseball, those brought me joy. Now, I couldn't play baseball, so I did crossword puzzles. Or I play music that makes me move and dance and sway and makes me feel love. I did whatever I needed to do.
And that's incredible that you talk about that level of resilience. And so many times people have a hard time trusting the process. So what are some things that helped you trust the process? Because cancer diagnosis and of course a marriage coming to an end, it brings uncertainty. Now we don't know, we can't predict what happens next. We don't. But then so many people give up on trusting that process. What helped you? What are some things that helped you trust the process?
The biggest thing that helped me was knowing that God had my back. Again, I'm not a kid who grew up with religion. And so I was spiritual, but I didn't have any religion. Now I have not only God, but I have archangels who look over me. I have my ancestors who are showing me love and sending me support. And that's everything for me. Now I can't see it, right? I can only feel it. I have faith. I have faith, which is what brought me into being a coach, because I didn't want to be a coach. I want to continue being a finance manager. I love the lifestyle. I love the house, going on vacation every 3 months, having everything that I needed. But that didn't bring me joy. And so being a coach, that brings me joy. Because when I see my clients make that mindset shift and they go, oh, I get it. That's everything for me. I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, I remember. I know what that feels like to have that mindset shift, because I still get it. Hell, I get like 1 or 2 or 3 a week. I had a few days ago. I mean, it's growth. It makes me happy. And the fact that I've always been a caregiver as a kid, because I'm the oldest in a Puerto Rican household, now I get to do it in a way that not only is meaningful, but now I get to honor myself. I devote to self. So I don't give from an empty cup. I don't give from a full cup. I give from this overflowing cup, which means I put me first. I devote to self.
Or which is harder to heal, the mind, the body, or the spirit when going through a cancer diagnosis?
Spirit. Yeah. Because it's not tangible. You can't see it, right? And so we rely, if you're like me from New York City, you're born into fight or flight, you rely on what you can see, not what you can feel. And as a kid growing up in the South Bronx, I didn't really want to feel, because I was feeling some really horrible shit, right? So in my household, it was all about mind and ego, mind and ego, mind and ego. It's what got me through college. I mean, I worked 10, 12-hour days at a finance company, and I went to college at night. I was in mind and ego, fight or flight, throughout my whole life, my whole marriage, until even through the cancer, until I said, how do I want to live?
So the cancer was a turning point, but do you remember the moment where you thought, I need to take this to a new level? There are those who are in my shoes that I've got to share what I'm learning with others so that their journey can have that level of support that I see what's super important. What was that turning point for you?
Well, after I asked God, right, to love me and to support me, I meet this woman, because my sister says, hey, you're the only one I know taking chemo would you speak to this woman whose 27-year-old daughter just got diagnosed with metastasis negative breast cancer? And I say yes. And so I let mom ask me all these questions. I let her vent because, again, she had the experience of being with an oncologist who just threw the diagnosis at her and basically told her, try to have a good life, be happy, and you'll be okay. And she was like, what the heck does that mean? And so I let her say anything, tell me anything. And then I tell her the 7 things that she should do. And I didn't have this written down. I had never recorded anything, but here I am telling her the 7 things she should do after she gets that diagnosis. 1, take a breath because you're not breathing. 2, get a second or third opinion because every institution cares for cancer differently. 3, get a coach. I don't know where that came from. I didn't know of a coach. Never read about a coach. Didn't know a coach. 4, change your food. Take the processed foods out of your diet because food is medicine. 5, move that body, right? If there's times where you have to pause and you may have to sleep all day long, but on those good days, take a walk, get out in nature, let the sun hit your face. 6, get your tribe in order. Find out who's going to do your groceries, who's going to bring you food, who's going to call you up to see how you're doing, who's going to go to the doctor with you. And then 7, which is what did it for me, believe in something higher than yourself. Spirit has been everything for me.
And not only are you a coach today for others, but also you're an author. And so, talk to us about the book. And we've got this here, Awaken. Talk a little bit about your contribution to the book, who it's for, and what was the message that you wanted to bring to the reader.
Oh my God, Awaken. The book is called Awaken. Embrace the call to rise. And I've been becoming, and I've been rising, and I've been forging ahead. And when Awaken came, it was the right time. And so I called my chapter is called Awaken to Joy. No permission needed. Because that's how I'm living these days. And so, when people say, oh my God, I've never seen you like this. You came from no religion, and you're talking about God. Like, I don't know you like this. And I'm like, that's right. Because I am this new, improved version of myself due to this diagnosis. And so what I love about this book is that this book has 25 renowned speakers, and they share transformational insights, proven strategies, and some deeply personal stories. And they help turn vision into reality, potential into powerful leadership. And we all know that when you change on the inside personally, it shows up in your business. So yeah, it was a beautiful book.
I love how your chapter is called Awaken to Joy, and I know this is your contribution to the book. Why is it so hard for people to embrace joy? What makes it harder for them to reach this moment where this can be included on their journey?
What makes it harder is that people don't have a devotion to self. Again, it goes back to self. So, for instance, we're living in hard times here, right? There's wars going on, there's shootings going on. Every day, I feel joy. And now I'm an empath. Everything that's going on in the world, my heart breaks for it, and I feel it. But I cannot let it consume me, right? What I could do is I can work towards making the world a better place. That I have control over. I can't control who's president. I can't control legislation right now. And I say right now because I'm going to work on health reform. But I can control how I look at things, my perspective. And so joy is our birthright. And it's so easy. We're only depending on ourselves. I don't need anyone or anything. Oh, well, actually I do. I need the radio to feel that music, right? I need the book so I could read, right? About beautiful love stories. But in reality, I don't need anyone or anything. So accolades, they're nice, but it doesn't define who I am. I'm so much more than that.
The book is called Awaken, and where can viewers grab that?
You can find it on Amazon. And I am so proud to say that we went to #1 in 3 different categories. In business management, because again, this is an eclectic book of 25 speakers. So they're not all coaches, right? These are just regular people who have shifted. This is not something that, it's not that hard to do. It's just that you have to be with the right people. And I'm so happy that I found my tribe. I am with like-minded people.
That's fantastic. We are going to take a commercial break. We're coming right back. Stay right there.
And for 2 years, I just kept doing that. And then one day, I said, I need to live with peace, love, and joy in my heart. And that's what was missing. And so, as I'm trying to find this joy within myself and this devotion to self, it was time for me to end the marriage, a 24-year marriage, a 30-year relationship. And so I do that. I end the marriage, I sell a home, I move to the state where I'm now working, and COVID hits. And that's when I sat in my shit. Because now I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment with 2,500 square foot of boxes, and I'm alone. And I went to the only person that I knew, or the only thing that I knew that I had not reached out for in all those years. And it was spirit. It was source. It was my ancestors. And I actually sat there and looked up and I said, God, I need you. I need you to believe in me. I need you to love me. I don't know, everyone's mad at me and I don't know what to do. And he hugged me. And I'm a kid growing up with an agnostic mother. I don't know what religion is like, but I know I felt that hug. And actually, as I touch myself now, I could tell you I feel it right now because he's here with me in spirit. And in that moment, I knew I was going to be okay.
Welcome to Renew Laser and Skincare, where beauty meets technology. From laser hair removal and anti-aging treatments to facial sculpting, acne care, and injectables, our expert team helps you look and feel your best with customized, results-driven care. Located in Littleton, Colorado, we offer a comfortable, welcoming space and cutting-edge treatments tailored just for you. Visit renewlaserandskincare.com to book your transformation today. Renew Laser and Skincare, where confidence begins.
Hey, I'm Adriana and welcome back to Fit Bites. Today, let's talk about preventing diabetes, a growing concern, especially as we age. Now, the good news is that with some proactive steps, we can reduce our risk and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Start by focusing on your diet. Choose whole grains over refined carbs. Think brown rice, quinoa, and whole wheat bread. Now, these foods help to regulate blood sugar levels and keep you fuller longer. Incorporate plenty of vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats like those in nuts, seeds, and olive oil. Portion control is key. Eating smaller, balanced meals throughout the day helps prevent blood sugar spikes. Avoid sugary snacks and drinks that can cause your blood sugar to rise rapidly. Physical activity is a powerful tool for diabetes prevention. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise most days of the week. Activities like brisk walking, cycling, and strength training can help your body use insulin more efficiently and keep your blood sugar levels in check. Now, keep an eye on your weight too. Maintain a healthy weight can significantly reduce your risk of developing diabetes. If you're carrying extra pounds, even a modest weight loss can make a big difference. Lastly, regular checkups with your healthcare provider are crucial. Monitoring your blood sugar levels and discussing any concerns with your doctor can help catch potential issues early. Remember, prevention is all about making smart, healthy choices every single day. By staying active, eating well, and managing your weight, you can keep diabetes at bay. Stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana.
We're spending quality time with our guest today, Zoraida Morales. She is a certified cancer coach. She's an author and a speaker. We're talking about designing life after cancer. Zoraida, one thing I wanted to ask you is, what role did nutrition and ritual play in your remission journey?
Oh my God, it played everything. Everything that I created is all by lived experience. And so I created the 3 pillars of nutrition. And this is what got me through cancer: mental, physical, and spiritual. And these 3 pillars help me manage my stress, manage my anxiety, manage my fear. I use modalities like Reiki, meditation, sound healing, journaling, affirmations. I use all kinds of modalities to keep me calm and open to new experiences. And then physical, we're talking about removing the processed foods. So I eat clean now. I mean, I thought I was a really good eater, but I had to learn how to read ingredients. The ingredients listings on the foods package. I also, for instance, my mother said it just yesterday. Oh, I eat good. I eat salmon 3 times a week. And I said, do you eat pasture-raised salmon? Or are you eating farm fresh? And she went, oh, I've been buying farm fresh. Oh, well, that's a mistake that we all do, right? We think the word farm is healthy, but farm fresh fish is actually in the ocean, living in a container, eating his own feces. You're putting that in your body. That's not healthy.
Yeah. And you work with clients worldwide. And you're really expanding your reach. What is the one thing that keeps coming up for you when you're working with someone brand new? What are some concerns that you notice that they have, or what are some things that come up for you that have to be addressed?
So when I meet with people, they do a quiz and a questionnaire, and they tell me what is it they're looking for. 9 times out of 10, by the time we're finished, that's not really it. So they'll say, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to learn how to eat clean. But what's happening is they want to understand, why am I binging on junk food at night? Right? What am I getting from this food that I'm not getting in my own life? Again, it kind of goes back to devotion to self. It goes back to devotion. So, for me, we live in the United States. Our food has junk in it. So no one eats 100% clean, right? Even me, every once in a while, I need birthday cake and I need a dry martini, right? But for the most part, if I know I'm going to have that dry martini on Saturday, I'm going to make sure I eat clean for the rest of the week, right? Because for me, all that food is medicine. People don't understand that. So they're only looking at the fact that, oh, I got to spend more money on eating pasture-raised eggs, beef. But how do you want to live? I told people I already saw myself in a coffin. I had to ask myself, how do I want to live? So I'm asking my clients, how do you want to live? It's a hard question to answer. But
You know, one of my favorite quotes recently that I came across was the idea of sooner or later your body becomes priority, either by choice or by consequence. And so when we have these roadblocks and how they come up when we don't anticipate, and to your point, how you adapt and evolve is such a difference maker in so many ways. And it's pretty evident by what you're saying. We want to bring up for our audience there's the quiz that you talked about. Talk a little bit about if this QR code brings up what what you speak of and what your baby is, life by design, not default. Talk a little bit about what happens when one of our viewers takes this quiz, that they can grab the QR code here.
So I love this energy quiz. It is actually going to be the lead magnet on my new website, because you can take this quiz once a month and it'll continue to change because it's according to your energy, right? And so the energy is mind, body, spirit, strength. And so it'll ask you questions like, when you wake up in the morning, what's your inner dialogue, right? So do you wake up in the morning and go, oh, I have so much energy today. I can't wait to start the day. I'm so grateful. Do you say to yourself, oh, I hope it cooperates today, right? Or do you say, ugh, I got so much to do? Well, that's your energy. So if you understand where your energy is at, you can actually shift it. And so I love this 10-question quiz. It's so simple. And it'll give you results that will help you use the mind, body, spirit modalities to shift. It's like not, it makes so much sense to me. I don't know why I didn't discover it before. Why didn't I do this before? But every month I take it, and every month my energy shifts because, we all have different things going on.
And this is for our audience to grab the QR code, and this is something that would be important to just keep tabs on. And I love how you said that you can take it on an ongoing basis, and things will shift as things happen in life. Yeah. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're coming right back. Stay right there. Welcome back, everybody. We've been talking about designing life after cancer. Our guest today, Zoraida Morales. Zoraida, where can we find you in the virtual space?
So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, which is a platform that I write on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And again, I write about devotion to self, fear versus faith, everything that has to do with mental, physical, and spiritual being. I write about it. I write about what I'm going through, but what others are going through as well, with or without chemo. I also spend time, oh, and there I'm on LinkedIn at Zoraida Morales. I have a website, zoraidamorales.com, and I'm actually building a new one called Life by Design, Not Default, which I can't wait. This is where the lead magnet, the quiz is going to live in. And what I love about this website is about thriving. ZoraidaMorales.com, I created it in 2021 when I got in touch with Spirit, and that was about surviving. So it was time to upgrade. I'm also on Instagram, where I highlight what I'm doing, the books I'm writing, the speaking engagements that I'm doing, the people that I'm meeting. And then I'm on Facebook, which I also talk about the books that I'm writing and the people that I'm meeting and how people are shifting my perspective.
What do you have going on for 2026?
Oh, I'm excited because I'm going back to Europe. I'm a big Europe fan. So right now I'm thinking of going to Greece in June. And I'm going to also work on my speaking abilities to become a more compelling speaker. So I am going to I like to travel and then learn something at the same time. So that's what I'm doing in June. And then I'm also thinking of going to a retreat where I can do more spiritual work, where I can do more shamanic work, because past life and generational trauma doesn't end, right? And so I know for a fact I have 3 past lives. And I want to continue working on those just to keep myself grounded, because I find that as I shift emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, my business does too. And then I can help more people. So, yeah, those are the things I'm working on right now.
Zoraida Morales, we are so excited to spend time with you today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing value.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here.
And to all of our viewers, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Without them, we just appreciate their support for sure. Biomed Mobile IV, Dapper No Code, Imperium Health Center, Launchpad, Renew Laser and Skincare, and Synergize Fitness. We're also on the web. You can find our website, thehealthrevolutiontv.com. There you can email us with any show episode ideas, and also join our newsletter. On the upper corner of your screen, you will see our QR code. And then, of course, you can find us every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, on the Arion TV channel, on E360 TV, and the ever-expanding distribution hubs. That is all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We will see you soon.